So in the last three segments, we've talked about darcs performance and darcs reliability, and now we're starting to look at the question of usability. So I mentioned previously that darcs is completely agnostic when it comes to the contents of the patches and also of the metadata that associated with the patches. So by metadata, I'm talking about things like the name of the patch, the log message in the patch, and also the patch author, right? Now, while this is great for robustness, it does make for some fairly annoying usability characteristics, which, to sort of explain with an example, suppose you have a French developer, François, and a Polish developer Le Schwawa, and they're both working together, but they happen to be using different character encodings for well, just in the environments. Right? So Francois is using ISO 8859-1, and Le Schwawa is using 8859-2, right? This is perfectly fine as far as darcs is concerned. There's no problem, absolutely no problem with this, because it doesn't care. It's completely agnostic. But what will happen is that when you merge these two patches together and when into the same repository, and when Francois looks at the log of patches, tries to say, well, okay, let's see what happened here. Who wrote such and such patch? What he will see for Le Schwaba's work is sort of garbage output, where you expect to see one of these characters with sort of an interesting mark through it. So this sort of nuisance makes it just slightly annoying to collaborate with people on an international scale. And to address this, what we're going to do, or what we have done actually, is, well, for reasons of backwards compatibility, and also for respecting this idea that being encoding agnostic is how you sort of is one way to sort of achieve a certain kind of robustness. We're going to respect this principle that darcs really doesn't care what goes into your metadata. But what we are going to do, however, is to make it such that the metadata that we happen to put into your patches, it is coincidentally UTF-8 encoded. So that it's still completely binary blobs for us, but they just so happen to be UTF-8 blobs. So what this allows us to do is to basically say that, well, okay, any new patches, we can quite easily, we have a story for showing people patches from different developers and not necessarily the same locale, because we can do things like, well, do locale detection when people enter patches in, or try to convert them back out, or if we can't, then sort of fall back to something sensible. And we have ways of making this backwards compatible so that even the old patches will still do something fairly reasonable. So this is a minor detail, but it does make for some easier collaboration, and it also has some future consequences, like making it possible for us to output proper XML data, which wasn't possible before because we didn't actually we would promise UTF-8 output, but actually just sort of dump out whatever we had in patches, and now we can actually do something much more reasonable. Another thing we've changed recently is, so in darcs commands have various options, and these options can sort of be toggled. Sometimes, for example, if you want to send people patches, you could either choose to edit some kind of text file that lets people know what's in these patches, or you could just like let darcs just send it without doing anything, right? And some of these choices are sort of more sensible by default than others. And we think that in the upcoming darcs 2.5, the kinds of defaults we've chosen will just make darcs feel a lot more friendlier and just doing what you kind of expect without really thinking too hard about it. A final thing that we've improved in the upcoming darcs release in terms of usability, and this is sort of a fun one for me to talk about, is the interactive mode for darcs. So one thing that's special about darcs in terms of its user interface is that by default it is very, very interactive. So if you want to record some of your unsaved changes, right, it will actually step through one by one and say, okay, should I record this change? Shall I record this change? How about this one? Um, while I personally think that this interactivity is great because it allows you to it invites you to use some of the more powerful features of darcs, which are basically being able to say selectively, hey, okay, I'll take that first patch. I don't want the second one because it's just some random comment that I threw in for debugging. But I'll take the third one, the fourth one, please, right? Um, on the other hand, when someone encounters these sort of interactive prompts the first time, what they see is this really intimidating block of characters. Okay, shall I record this change? Y, N, W, E, S, F, V, P, L, X, D, A, Q, J, K. What? Um, interactive mode is great for making darks very friendly, but just the way the minor detail about how we communicate, right, can actually be quite off-putting. So to fix this, all we basically had to do is to think a little hard about it and say, well, okay, there's actually two kinds of options in interactive mode, right? You have really basic ones that most people will want to do, yes, no, wait. And then we have sort of the more advanced power user features. And these power user features make interactive mode a lot more fun to use, but there's no point showing the user everything at once and just sort of expecting you to sort of figure out what the Y, N, W, E, S, F, V, P, L, X, D, A, Q, J, K means when we could just show you something simpler. So now we just show you the basic options, and then we say dot dot dot, and do all sorts of little things to sort of to hint at you that you could actually try some fancier tricks. Okay, so that's basically the usability changes for the upcoming darcs release. Now let's look at what we're going to do in the more in the future. So what we're currently working on is the output for this darcs annotate command I was talking about earlier in the performance track. So in the performance track, I was saying that there's that basically nobody uses darcs annotate, partly because it's so slow, right? The second reason why nobody uses darcs annotate is because the output is so horrible. I'm going to show you what the output looks like now. Okay, so when you're looking at darcs annotate, right, what you're trying to figure out is basically for any given line or line in the file, in a text file, why does that line exist? What is the patch that caused that line to be there? Who wrote that patch, right? And the darcs annotate command tells you all of this. It's just that when you look at it, you can't tell, or you can't really interpret the output. It's really, really, really horrible. To improve this, what we've done is we have this work done. We have this patch that basically makes this annotate output this much nicer format. It is to just go on the basic principle that every line in the file corresponds to one line of output, right? And then just use this sort of column separated format to show you just the most important bits of information. Now, this isn't the final user interface for darcs annotates. I know people care very deeply about having exactly the right kind of user interface for things, and this really is just an initial proposal, and we're going to sort of continue to discuss the matter and try to sort of refine the interface as we go on. But at least here we have something which is clearly a lot friendlier than the current output. So the next thing that we will be introducing shortly in darcs is a command called darcs rebase. And this is inspired by a similar command called git rebase, and which I will talk about more in the next segment. Right, thanks.